Okay, here we go. This is kind of fun. We are going to be looking at how to calculate which investment or which asset to buy for the best return on the asset value. So we're going to look at playback. We're going to look at net present value. What's the net present value of this item? We're going to look at rate of return, which is also called the accounting rate of return. And we are going to look at internal rate of return. All four of these can be used to determine if which project to decide to use. So let's get started. I may break this into two because there's quite a bit to cover and I don't want to rush through it. Our first one is we are buying a machine that cost $180,000. And as you know, each machine or each investment would have a net cash flow each year. So this machine has a 60,000, a 40,000, a 70,000, 125,000, and a $35,000 return in each of these years. The question is, when do we get a payback? When is this thing paid off? When is it paid for itself? And when do we start really get a return on this? So the one way of doing this is to put in the initial cost of $180,000 and then subtract uh, how much we make each year by using the machine and count down to where we've paid off the machine. There's 60,000 minus, take 180 minus the 60,000, the 40,000. You can see how we're still in a negative sense, but as we go down, in year 4, it becomes positive, and early in year 4. So you would say this has a payback of maybe 4.1 years. And many companies have built in, okay, we're not going to do this unless it pays back within 3 years or unless it pays back within 2 years, which is okay, but it's kind of short-sighted because what happens if you have a really big payback in year 5 that outweighs and gives you a larger payback than if you had that earlier. So it just kind of, this is an easy way of doing it, but sometimes it's not as accurate for in the future. Here's another one. And in this one, we're looking at depreciation. So the machine costs us $150,000. We're using straight line depreciation, which is $30,000 a year. Okay. And we have these flows. But now we're going to look at, hey, depreciation. That gives us more back. So that gives us an additional cash flow in a sense, whether there's any cash flow or not, it comes off of the bottom line. So let's look at this. We have an initial outlay of 150,000. We have a net income of 10,000 from it, plus we have the depreciation. So that year, that net cash flow is $40,000. So we haven't paid for it yet, but the next year it's 25,000 with the depreciation. We're at 55,000. And now in the third year, we have net income of 50,000 from the machine and a $30,000 from the depreciation, which means 80,000, and we're positive now. So this is going to pay off, I would have to say, within 3 months of the fourth year, and it really turns positive then in the fifth year. So that's one way. Now let's look at this one. I believe this one's using double declining instead of straight line. So you have to do your calculation over here as to what the depreciation is using double declining. So it's the same scenario. Here's our net out cash flow, or net output outlay. And then we take the net income and the depreciation. And you're going to find this one pays off in year 3, much earlier in year 3. And I believe that's the same scenario as we had here, 10,000. 25, 50? No, no, it's still different. I'm sorry. This is paying at 150. So it's taking into consideration each year. Just a different way of looking at this. So that shows you payback here. Now here's a